This is Mycopsychosis, a short visual novel developed by Delta Cat Studios about you and your apartment surviving a spore storm. What's a spore storm? We'll get into that shortly. First, I want to quickly thank you for clicking on this video. It means a lot to me and I'm glad I can shed some light on a game I really enjoyed. Now, without further ado, let's get right into it. First thing off rip, upon pressing start, you'll be given a message. This game's events are time-based, and if you get stuck, then just start moving around to trigger new events. I like how it tells us this right from the start. It will help the player when they inevitably get to a point where there's nothing happening to just keep moving. And it's putting that thought inside of your head that because it's time-based, every movement and every choice counts. This instills an underlying sense of urgency to everything, as you don't want to run out of time for the fear that maybe that thing you missed was extremely important. After you enter your name as the protagonist, you can now finally enter the world of Mycopsychosis. We start by watching TV, just any other night for our main character, but as they go to change the channel, an alert pops up.
If you are seeing this video, you are currently experiencing a spore storm. This is a newly occurring weather phenomenon. Heavy clouds are approaching your location, carrying millions of Mycopsychosis spores. They travel through the air. A single spore is enough to infect a host. Make sure you stay inside. Lock your doors and windows. Don't exit under any circumstances. Wait until the storm passes. Try not to succumb to fear and wait patiently. How to identify the infection. Mycopsychosis spores can enter your bloodstream through your lungs, an open cut, or any exposed mucous membrane. Symptoms only take a couple of minutes to appear. Stages of the infection. Stage 1, General Confusion. The symptoms are sweating, fever, headache, vomit. Once a host starts to develop these symptoms, there is no possible cure. Once a host starts to develop these symptoms, they should immediately contact local health authorities and wait for further instructions. Stage 2, Takeover. The symptoms are severe paranoia, visual and auditory hallucinations, uncontrollably desire to socialize. The spores had arrived to the host brain, and they are starting to take control. Stage 3, Activation. The symptoms are uncontrollably desire to go to a high place. The spores had reproduced in the host body. The infection has reached its maturity stage.
Stage 4, or blooming.
For further survivability, please follow your spore storm survival manual, or check the following webpage.
Wow, okay, that was a lot to take in, but I can dumb it down pretty simply. The spores of mycopsychosis are extremely infectious, being able to affect you if there's even so much as a tiny spore that you breathe in or that gets in through your eye per se. 2. The symptoms are near immediate, and because the alert said that there was no cure, you will die in mere minutes or even hours of being infected, with no hope to be saved. Okay, that's pretty grim, but at least you can be safe by just staying inside, and all you have to do is wait out the storm, even if we don't know how exactly long that will take yet. As we continue past the alert, our character mentions how the spore storms have become more frequent, while also being surprised that a single spore can kill you. Perhaps this offhand comment might just tell us that while these storms are nothing new in this world, the potency of the spores has increased. Now we've reached the gameplay. You start in the living room. The footprints on the screen will take you to a different part of the house while also progressing the time for each movement you make. We do as our character tells us to, and we go to our room to check the website the TV had displayed. Clicking the monitor will actually open a tab on your web browser, taking you to the mycopsychosis.online website. Personally, this blew my mind. The information on this doc is a necessity for the game and some decisions, so it's really nice that we can have it on a browser instead of needing to memorize every single detail. Now, I'm not going to read all of this at once for attention's sake, but there is one thing I want to point out immediately. It's that the spores of mycopsychosis are 4 microns big, which after quickly googling the answer, I found out is about the size of a red blood cell. Yeah, the thing that carries oxygen through your blood is the same size as a spore that can kill you by itself. Heading back to our hallway, we get a call on the phone by the window. Going up to the window, we can see a girl on the room across from us holding her phone. Upon answering the phone, we talk to the girl, whose name is Anna. She had recently moved into the house next door a month ago. This is her first spore storm, with her mentioning that it never used to happen where she used to live. We tell her they usually only last a couple of hours, as our character stutters on telling her to stay inside. Don't worry, it's revealed why in a little bit. After a little chat, it's revealed Anna doesn't have a computer, so our character decides to be her informant. Any problems she has will immediately be run through us. After the call, we walk around for a little while and check out the lay of our building so we get used to everything, but then we get a knock on our door. Our basement door. Well, got nothing else to do, might as well check it out. Well, someone's in our basement and asking to be let in. Referring back to the alert, we can immediately assume this guy's infected and wants to kill us. After refusing to let him in, we can always come back to the door at any time to let him in if we want to. However, in my first playthrough, I wasn't trusting anyone, so we're gonna go with that for now. After dealing with our basement intruder, we hear someone ring our doorbell. Looking through the keyhole, we can clearly see, yeah, that man has no mask. The man immediately asks to be let in, and in the most obvious choice of the century, we don't let him in, ever. I won't go too in depth about Ray, because he's the textbook infected that will kill you if you ever let him in. However, I will mention that he does come to your house several times, each with a new item to try and trick you into letting him in. The second we deal with Ray, we immediately hear a sound coming from our attic. Going up, we can see someone in the window up above, or what I can assume is a person. Now, on my first playthrough, which by now you can probably tell I did the safest possible options, I chose not to answer in hopes that whatever this thing is will leave me alone and I can stay safe. Now, I need to set you up in the same way I was for this. By letting no one in and not answering the door, like the massive pussy I am, nothing was happening for an extended period of time, to the point where I was getting exceedingly nervous about any noise I would hear, and I was always expecting to see something in every room I entered. After a long period of hearing absolutely nothing, something happened. As we walk into the hallway to go see what happened, he got in. Falling to the floor and crawling towards us, we can instantly recognize this is a stage 2 infected. The infected promises us that we can become beautiful and go to a higher place. Snapping to our senses, we realize we need to run so we don't get infected. We run to our bedroom. Someone's here. Holes are everywhere. This isn't safe enough. To the kitchen. However, the fungus has spread to our apartment and it's falling apart. It isn't safe enough. To the attic. The broken window shines a bright red and the painting disfigured. It is not safe enough. To somewhere high. I always wanted to be beautiful. I do want to bloom. The streets are almost empty. Sort of like as if everyone disappeared, but they didn't. You can't move, but you are. Like if a puppet master was controlling you from the outside with its strings. But in reality, the puppet master is inside you. Feasting, rotting, reproducing, pulling your tendons as if they're strings. But it's okay. You don't have to worry no more. Because from now on, and until the end of time, you'll be one of us. You'll be one with us. You'll be beautiful. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the first ending to Mycopsychosis. The bad ending you get if you die anywhere in the story. The game over blew my mind. When I saw it, it turned what I thought was like a cool niche horror game into one of my favorites that I could have never expected to see. Now yes, I did say first ending, and we're gonna get to all of them, don't worry. But first, I want to say if you like how the game looks and sounds by this point, then please, by all means, go support the creators by buying the game. It's only $5, and with the 6 endings and neat atmosphere, I do think it's giving a very well-made product for that price. I'll leave a link in the description to both the game on Steam and on itch.io so you can check it out for yourselves if you want to. However, from this point on, I will be going down every path and decision you can make in the game, so spoilers for everything past this point. Okay, before we get back into the game, I want to mention one more thing in case you somehow missed it. It's how red everything is. Red is the only standout color, with the rest of the gang being black, white, and gray. This adds to the atmosphere and really makes all infected and spores stand out a lot more than they would if there was any other color be involved. And personally, I think it just makes every little encounter a little more special in my opinion. Now starting the game back up and getting back to when a mysterious stranger knocks on our basement door, we can choose to let him in. However, I'm going to stop you again right there. There's actually a sort of secret that you have to do to actually make this character important, as just blindly trusting them right away will not give any satisfying conclusions or unlock any endings for you. After dealing with Ray the first time and going to our attic stranger, instead, we choose to talk to him. He reveals himself as Noah, who works for the TV company. The most convincing story I think I've ever heard in my life. Him being stuck on the roof when the alert went off is obviously bad, and after he points out he's wearing a mask which will keep him safe, we decide to entertain his claim by going to our next door neighbor and asking if she had someone like that come over. I guess we don't have any other neighbors, but hey, what do I know? We could choose to let Noah in, but like with the basement stranger, we want to ask him to wait while we go ask Anna about if he's actually telling the truth. Calling Anna immediately reveals Noah was lying, obviously. So, confronting Noah about it while an infected is climbing onto the roof, guess that explains why he looks so beat up as an infected. He admits to lying and just tells us the truth, that he was going to rob us. Noah, who we find out is 16, is a little troublemaker who would do anything but let his dad find out he tried to rob us. After his confession, we can allow him to come in, but he has to break the window to do so as the window is stuck. So, Noah breaks the window as he waits downstairs and he comes quickly after. Noah takes off his mask, and now we can talk to him in the living room. But as expected, someone comes to our front door giving us no time to relax. It's a police officer, Sylvia. She's doing a checkup on the neighborhood. She even has an approved gas mask to keep her safe. After telling her we've had visitors too, she affirms that no one should be out and to let no one in. Too bad we're Dragon Ball fans and didn't read the alert. Sylvia allows us to ask some questions, mainly everything that's been disclosed in the alert, but she does say that the storm will last until dawn at the latest. She goes about her business and we can be a little relieved knowing the government is actually helping during this time of crisis. Leaving the door, we hear Anna calling us again, so we go to pick up the phone, and it turns out she's out of bottled water, and she wants to ask us if the tap water is safe to drink. She doesn't know if the water can be infected by the spores. Now we can finally go into the website opened at the start of the game. One of the first facts about mycopsychosis is that spores are not water soluble, which means rain won't stop the spore storms, but that also means it cannot contaminate water. Now, being confident in our knowledge, we can tell her it's safe to drink. Anna problem number 1 solved. As we get ready to hang up, she calls us a cutie, which I know for a fact made my heart skip a beat, and it clearly made our main character jizz his pants. Now with a little free time, we're able to talk to Noah, who we are able to convince to give us his gas mask. With it, we are able to go back into the attic and use the painting on the floor as a barricade to shut out the window. This allows us to go into the loft without worrying about any spores getting in. A little while later, Hugo will knock. He has to be let in again, but after we say no, obviously, he then says he's used to being left out. This is something I don't think an infected would do, and it does make him seem a lot more human. So, +1 point for Hugo. Now, feeling like human garbage, we get another chance to let him in. But we still need to refuse as he could still be an infected just trying to trick us. At least after turning him down again, our character offers to get him something if he needed anything, and Hugo tells us that it's really cold since it's basically the dead of night and in the middle of a storm. He asks for a blanket, and since no blanket will fit under the door, we substitute it with a towel we can find and grab in the bathroom. Hugo thanks us for our kindness as he starts to tell us a little more about himself. He has a cat named Al, short for Alfredo, who is waiting at home for him. This moment I believe is meant to show that Hugo is not infected, as he is no longer begging for us to let him in, and he is now just talking about his life. Something an infected probably wouldn't do, as they'd most likely just be worried about getting in. Now being able to confidently say Hugo's not infected, we take a risk. We can let him in. Him and Noah seem to get along as we get another visitor at the front door. Sylvia has returned and is warning us of a dangerous man on the loose, whose name is Hugo Escuzza. Now, obviously knowing that Hugo is in our home, we can choose to snitch or lie to Sylvia to keep Hugo safe, and knowing that snitches get stitches, I decide to cover for our new friend. She quickly leaves, and now we can only wonder, why was the police out to get Hugo? Before we can go theory crafting, Ray returns now with the mask. Obviously, he's still infected, so we just tell him to leave again. Going back to our living room and talking to Hugo, We tell him about Sylvia and that she was looking for him. He starts to freak out and warns us that if she knows he's here, we're both dead. She's a dangerous person who will kill us if we let it slip. Hugo trusts us after we listen to him and let him in. He doesn't want Sylvia to hurt us. We promise to him to keep it a secret, now knowing that whoever Sylvia is not to be trusted. We get another ring on the door, Ray making his third appearance with the water cooler, leaving again to retrieve another item to try and trick us. Shortly after, Anna calls us with another issue. She's freezing and hasn't received her winter clothes from the moving company, so she's asking us if we can use the heater. The heater will blow outside air into the apartment and she doesn't know if the heat will carry spores. So going back to our handy dandy website, under how to defend yourself, it's listed that the spores can handle the heat up to 100 degrees Celsius, which is about 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So unless you have a literal flamethrower, I don't think any normal heater will kill the spores. So telling Anna that the heat won't kill the spores is the correct answer. So we suggest to her that she does some exercise to stay warm in the meantime. Anna problem number 2 solved. Going back to our front door to greet whoever will be there shows Sylvia not wearing her mask. It's obvious now why Hugo was warning us about her. In your last encounter with Sylvia, if you told her that Hugo was in the house, she would break in, revealing that she had been infected this entire time, which leads us to believe that Hugo knew she was infected from the get-go. However, back in the present, she drops the act entirely and asks if we're hiding him. As we keep denying her claims, her head goes off to the side and gives off a very disturbing grin, still claiming that hiding Hugo is a serious crime, even though they're not human anymore. She asks our name, and okay, hold on a minute. I'll be so honest, when this option came up, I didn't realize the second option was talking about your PC name, as my Gmail account actually has the word Satan in it. My PC must have put that as the name or something. I don't know. But do know, you don't play as Satan in Mycopsychosis. That would fucking rock, but Doomslayer would probably just show up and kill you if that was the case. All 3 options she gives don't change the story, but if you pick the second option, Sylvia will tell you the time based on your PC's time, which I think is pretty cool. Going back to the living room after a haunting encounter, Hugo will proceed to ask us if we want to go out and get a drink sometime, which obviously we accept. Upon hearing the doorbell nearly immediately after this talk, which is extremely fast after Sylvia came, we aren't greeted by an infected or a person, but a path made entirely out of mold caused by the spores. Oh yeah, shit's happening. Going back to our gang, we hear the phone ring, and when we answer, Anna is panicking. After calming her down, she proceeds to tell us that her house alarm went off. However, she just assumed it was another false alarm as it's been going off all week. But out of pure paranoia, she decided to check anyway, where she saw her front door's logs had given as an infected was trying to break in. Anna, now panicking for her life, asks us what to do. And referring back to the alert video at the start of the game, we tell her to go into the bathroom to protect herself and to stay away from the infected, as fighting it off or trying to flee will result in her death. We promise to call the authorities for her when the storm's over, and she starts to thank us for everything we did, and even asks to hang out if they both make it out alive. We assure her it's a date, and after some lighthearted joking, she proceeds to go lock herself in the bathroom to stay safe. Now, this would be a cool climactic moment. However, the only downside that I think comes after this is that the alert that the storm's over comes directly after you leave the phone. Yeah, I was caught off guard by it too. So as we hear this, we're given the prompt to go outside. Now, normally I think literally everyone would know not to do this if you made it this far with all the characters surviving, but we want to see every ending, so fuck it, why not? We go outside. Going outside and not instantly dying is a pretty safe indicator that the storm did end, and then we go to the city's observatory to get a clear view of everything, showing that while the storm did end, that doesn't mean everything can't be beautiful. Honestly, this ending kinda sucks, as it's implied we got infected anyway, which is kind of the point. You survived, but at what cost? You threw away your victory with your friends to go outside. Now, ignoring that obviously bad ending, lore-wise, not game-wise, we go back to that decision and press no. This is where your choices ultimately matter for each ending other than the 2 bad ones. Now, one ending that's basically guaranteed is the Anna ending, as if you mess up her questions at any time, it almost instantly kills you. All you need to do is call emergency services on the phone and she's saved. If you didn't manage to save Hugo, then after calling for help, you will be given the only Anna ending, as you go out on a date. Something interesting mentioned during this ending is how spore storms are now happening where Anna used to live, when during the game, Anna had never seen one. This tells us that whatever mycopsychosis is, it's spreading across the world fast. The next ending can be achieved after you get a close relationship with Hugo. Yeah, remember how we didn't let him in until he asked for the towel? That's what allows him to have a close relationship with you. Same with Noah and making him confess he was trying to rob you. Now, only having a close relationship with Hugo and not calling help for Anna will get you the Hugo only ending, where he tells you he's a secret government worker, something I'll come back to shortly. If you call help for Anna and you have a close relationship with Hugo, you can get the Hugo and Anna ending, where all three of you hang out and get wasted. The interesting fact about this ending is that Hugo knows who Ray is, or was. It's super obvious he's lying about not knowing him. Now for the last ending, you need a close relationship with Hugo and Noah, and it doesn't matter if you save Anna or not, as it gives you the option to just leave her out. The three of you go out to the roof with some sodas, as Noah cannot drink alcohol legally. This conversation doesn't have any major lore drops, it just tells us how Noah is in an abusive household, and that Hugo relates to the struggle and knows that you have to keep fighting for yourself. If you noticed how I said the last ending for the previous entry, then you will know I'm not making a mistake. Those are all the endings. I'm a little bummed out that you can't get all three to hang out, but it's honestly not that big of a deal, as either Noah or Anna will be safe depending on who you choose and if you saved everyone. Now, before I start going into theories I have and other little things I'd like to appreciate, I'd like to take a quick moment on some of the little Easter eggs and secrets you can find while playing. Like Noah, you can also get a Hugo death if you wait after giving him a towel for him to knock again, as if you wait that long, he will become infected. Another cool thing is that any death with Anna, she will smash through the window, and if you can manage to be in the hall when she breaks the window, then go to the window, you can see Anna stare back, waiting for you to make the only movement you can. Another Anna secret, if you tell Anna to defend herself against the infected during her last call, instead of her usual death scene, you will get a special one, complete with new dialogue and a cool knife. Last one I want to mention is if you don't let Hugo in after getting the towel, and tell Sylvia he is in our basement, Hugo knocks, and upon reaching the door, we hear a struggle happening on the other side. Answering the door, Hugo is nowhere to be seen, and we grab a badge off the floor that belonged to Hugo. On his badge, it says he's a part of the Plague Control Department. That's a surprise tool we're going to need for later. These are all the secrets I can find, but if I missed any, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear anything that I did miss. The art in Mycopsychosis is something I want to appreciate, as even though the developers of the game consist of 3 people, you really couldn't tell just based on how everything looks. The simple yet realistic looking backgrounds mixed with characters who feel real adds so much when it comes to immersion, as everything complements each other in a way I can't explain. And the last thing I want to bring up about this is the animations, mainly the character animations. That janky and awkward breathing perfectly encapsulates the feeling I get when watching certain analog horrors. Specifically, the Divine Swamp Fever My Little Pony AU, which went viral back in 2024 for its disturbing animations and dark depiction of an actual disease from the My Little Pony show. And not to forget how the video at the start clearly follows that VHS style warning listing off stages of infection like most infection AUs or analog horror. Something that's abundantly clear is the presence Hugo has in this game. Ray and Sylvia are both connected to Hugo and were at the very least government workers when they were uninfected. That fact, also put together with the idea we found in the basement, connects that these people were Hugo worked with. Perhaps something happened to them while Hugo managed to escape. Which is why Sylvia will do anything to find him, because he's one of the few people trained to deal with mycopsychosis, as he's part of the Plague Control Department. It's also where I can tell you about the next game Delta Cat Studios is working on, Mycopsychosis Project Jupiter. This game seems to be a prequel. Well, not seems, it has to be a prequel, because in one of the promotional arts displayed on Steam, it shows Hugo next to Ray, both looking not infected. Hugo looks to be the main character of this second game, so I wouldn't be surprised if it covers everything leading up to mycopsychosis, and hopefully proving my next theory right, which is, as I brought up at the start of the video, our main character acts as if mycopsychosis needing a single spore to kill a human is new, which is leading me to my next theory. Several times throughout the game, the informative video at the start seems to be expanded upon, with the alert simply saying that Stage 2 infected have a desire to talk to people. With most infections from other series and franchises, once you become an infected, you usually become a mindless zombie or mostly mindless, trying to serve whatever purpose the disease or infection is trying to do, usually spreading the disease. However, with mycopsychosis, there appears to be much more brain function being displayed, with Sylvia being able to completely fool you by pretending to be uninfected, and Ray being able to at least think about what you say to them, leading Ray to come back several times in attempts to trick you. So this begs the question, is mycopsychosis learning how to better spread itself among humans? And is it evolving to take better control of its hosts? I don't know, just a thought I had while 100%ing the game. I'm sure we'll get more information in Project Jupiter, and it's honestly one of my most anticipated games. There isn't a set release date, so if you're just as interested as I am, I totally recommend adding it to your Steam wishlist, and I do plan on making a video about it when it does release for those who can't play it. Now, that just about covers everything I have to talk about in Mycopsychosis. If you liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It would mean the world to me, and you can always unsubscribe later if you change your mind. Have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.